This is News You Can Use.
To start this year, 2022, we hosted a meeting with Doug Duncan, our good friend, Senior Vice President and Chief Economist with Fannie Mae, to discuss his latest economic forecast and housing forecast for the year. Over the years, no economist has more accurately predicted what's coming next for our industry than Doug Duncan and his team at Fannie Mae. He shared a wealth of knowledge that we'll be sharing with you in bite-sized pieces over the coming weeks. The housing market's going to be different this year. It is every year. And in some ways in 2022, it's going to be more challenging. We all just need to adjust to the new conditions that exist so that we can find our way to our best this year. Check out Doug's insights to help you become the most informed professional possible. Let's talk about housing sales. Of course, the last couple of years, using the word unprecedented, no one would have expected with us closing down the economy in 2020 in the first quarter, second quarter, that we would have seen a 7% increase in housing sales. And then in 21, we saw another 7% increase in housing sales. What is your forecast, your group's forecast for housing sales in 2022? And then if you want to talk at best about 2023, go right ahead.
Question you have to answer is how much of future business was brought forward by the combination of the monetary stimulus, which drove interest rates to extremely low levels, and fiscal stimulus, which was transfers of income to allow people to increase savings available for down payments and things like that. And clearly there was a move that brought some people forward in time because all the seasonal patterns were disrupted by the virus. And that was a response of people to saying, look, I want to get some space. I don't want to be living in this apartment building with 200 other people. I've got some cash now, so I'm going to find a place in the burbs, which gives me a little room so I can isolate, but with room. And so the question is, how much of that took place? We think a fair amount. And so that's borrowed from the next couple of years of business. So we think in 2022, give or take, maybe in terms of the number of housing units sold, both new and existing, maybe down about 1%. But in the meantime, it's still the case that price appreciation is strong. So the dollar volumes will be up in terms of purchases. Obviously, refinancing is purely an interest rate option. And if interest rates rise, there will be fewer people eligible to exercise that option. However, they typically do that longer than what the forecast suggests. So there'll still be a pretty substantial share of refinancing this year, but clearly lower than any of the last 2 or 3 years. So still a good year. I mean, I think our total dollar expectation for 2020 is $3.3 trillion. Now we're in the forecast cycle right now, and we'll adjust that a little bit for what we've seen in the recent rise in rates. Still, that's a really good year in terms of dollar volumes, right?
Yeah, I think it gets back to the 2.5% 30-year fixed rate, and now being 3.5% or maybe pushing up to 4%. It's a relative issue. Housing sales have been so strong the last couple of years. I think folks that are in the mortgage banking industry and realtors as well just need to adopt this concept that if we are down 1% in housing sales this year, it's still a really strong housing market that we're talking about.
That's right. And it's, you have the approach that I would take if I were running a mortgage company, which is you're in the business to finance the purchase of homes to people who want to live in them. That's your business. The refinance business is just an option that gets exercised by people. That comes and goes depending on the interest rate cycles. But if you always are sticking to your knitting, that you've always got the base that we want to help people own the home of their dreams, that's where the long run base of the business is. And the rest is an interest rate option.
Well, Doug, our organization has been quite disciplined about focusing on the purchase mortgage business. Last year, our company did 85% of its businesses in purchase. And of course, as you're well familiar, the majority of lending last year was still done in the refinance business as opposed to the purchase business. So we feel if you can be comforted by the idea of this transition, we feel very comfortable because our expertise lies in the purchase business. Let's talk about it. Thank you, Doug, for offering your insights to all of us. We'll be back next week with more news you can use.